I stopped providing financial support to my brother's family after he declared there was no room for failures. That's the reason I wasn't welcomed to Christmas dinner. Now, he's completely falling apart. Actually, I was really looking forward to Christmas this season. For the first time, I wasn't scrambling to get things done at the 11th hour. I had already bought presents for my mom and dad, my brother Jacob, his spouse Kelly, and their kids well before early December. I even picked up additional gifts in case any surprise guests showed up. No clue why, but I had the strong feeling that things would go well this time. I was completely shocked when my mother answered the door and told me, "We're not having you over this year." I was standing there on my parents' porch, clutching a shopping bag full of wrapped packages in each arm. Initially, I thought it was some awkward prank. I started laughing lightly, but then Jacob's voice cut in from inside the house. He said, "There's no spot here for failures. You're really getting on everyone's nerves." I just froze and stared at her. My father was lingering in the back, looking anxiously in every direction but mine, staying silent. Even though she seemed uncomfortable, my mom held her ground. And Jacob, he was completely smug. A rush of emotions hit me. Embarrassment, anger, and confusion, but I kept my cool. "Okay, if that's what you think," I replied with a nod, then turned and walked back to my vehicle. As I sat in the driveway staring at the gift bags on the seat next to me, something shifted deep inside. No room for failures? Fed up with me? Where was this coming from? I figured Jacob was behind it, but I couldn't pinpoint the reason. I'd only ever been kind and supportive to him and his household over the years. I covered his kids' summer camp fees, bought their school materials, and even helped with his house payments during his toughest times. And now, out of nowhere, I was excluded from Christmas? I decided I wasn't leaving yet. I needed some explanations, so I headed back to the entrance. I came back after stashing the gifts in the car. My parents were still there, whispering quietly, like they hadn't expected me to return. Jacob was lounging on the sofa, scrolling his phone, acting as if nothing unusual had occurred. I didn't bother knocking. "What's happening here?" I asked as I stepped inside. "Why aren't I allowed at Christmas? What exactly did I do?" Jacob smirked without looking up from his screen. "You truly don't understand. Huh? You've been dropping the ball recently. The children have hardly received anything from you this season." I stared at him in shock. "What do you mean? I've dropped hundreds on gifts for your children. There are more packages for them in the car than for anybody else. Compared to last year, you stepped up more. This time, it seems like you couldn't care less. It's actually humiliating for us," Jacob finally said, looking up at me. I turned to my parents, expecting them to intervene, maybe stand up for me or tell Jacob he was out of line. Instead, my mom gave an uneasy grin and commented, "But you recently got yourself a brand new vehicle. You managed to find funds for that." For a second, I didn't know how to respond. "It's financed," I explained calmly. "And even if it wasn't, how does getting a car make me suddenly obligated to support Jacob's children? That's not my duty." Jacob reclined on the sofa and announced, "You're the highest earner in the family. Like that settled it all. We're relatives. Relatives support one another. You've done it consistently." When I looked over at his wife Kelly, she was seated quietly in the corner. Her cheeks were flushed, and she was staring at her lap, saying nothing. It seemed like she wanted to disappear. "Is that your justification?" I asked. "Just because I've been helpful before, does that mean I'm required to keep it up indefinitely? And if I don't, that makes me a failure?" Jacob shrugged. "If it matches." That was the breaking point for me. I shook my head and took a step away. Facing my parents, I said, "You know what? You're correct. I don't fit in here. Jacob, have a great Christmas. And best of luck with those gifts, since this failure is finished bankrolling your existence." I walked out without giving them a chance to reply. I held the steering wheel tighter than necessary and drove home in silence. I couldn't process it. Was I really the bad guy here? I'd gone out of my way for my relatives for so long, stepping in whenever Jacob was in trouble, making sure his kids didn't go without due to his money issues. And now I was labeled a failure for not giving enough, plus barred from Christmas. After getting home, I sat in the driveway for a bit, blankly staring ahead. Seeing those gift bags still in the vehicle made me feel nauseous. I'd spent weeks carefully selecting perfect things, thinking about what my parents might appreciate and what would thrill the kids. All for nothing? I wasn't even meant to be there? The more I reflected, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about the holiday or the presents. I'd been too oblivious, or maybe too accommodating, to see how this pattern had built up over time. Truth is, Jacob had depended on me constantly. He and Kelly started their marriage with serious money struggles. He couldn't hold down steady work, and her part-time gig barely covered essentials. Assuming it was temporary, I offered assistance, a couple hundred now and then. Once, when eviction loomed, I covered their rent. Later, after their second kid arrived, I pitched in for daycare. What started as short-term stretched into years. Whenever things got rough, Jacob reached out to me first. Honestly, I always agreed because I loved his children, not out of obligation that I didn't want my brother and his household to struggle or go without. Looking back, I realized I'd created this situation myself. My readiness made it too simple for Jacob to lean on me. Gratitude somehow turned into expectation along the way. The tipping point was getting shut out of the family Christmas gathering because I supposedly hadn't done enough. The next morning, with clearer head, I made my resolution. No more aiding Jacob, no more endless handouts to make up for his shortcomings. He'd have to figure out on his own whether his kids got the things I'd provided. The decision wasn't easy. It meant not just cutting off his funds but risking ties with him, the nieces and nephews, and maybe even my parents. But I refused to keep being viewed as a cash machine rather than a sibling or child. No one reached out, and I stayed silent too. Maybe they'd gotten the point, I figured, but I should have realized Jacob wouldn't accept it quietly. New Year's Eve passed without a word, no messages. No calls, zero contact. From my parents, Jacob, or even Kelly, nothing came my way. For the first time in ages, I was completely solo during the holidays. I didn't really expect outreach, but it felt strange when the clock struck midnight and my phone stayed quiet. I confess I thought about calling, but each time, Jacob's smug look and his line about no room for failures stopped me. I'd been the glue holding everything for years, yet they dared treat me like I was expendable. No way. If space was what they wanted, I'd provide it. By mid-January, I began sensing a shift. Kelly's always been quiet, avoiding conflict. But one night, she suddenly messaged me. It was short and straightforward. Just wanted to apologize. I don't support what went down. Jacob won't listen to me, but you deserve to hear it. I stared at my screen for a while, unsure how to reply. On one side, it was reassuring that at least one family member saw the truth. On the other, her sorry felt insufficient and delayed since she'd stayed mute that night. Finally, I texted back, "Thanks, Kelly, but this isn't easy to brush off." I was fine when she didn't push further. The unexpected visit. Then, early February, Jacob showed up unannounced at my place. I was deep in a virtual work call when the knocking started. At first, I ignored it. No one was expected, but it persisted. When I opened the door, there was Jacob, looking more disheveled and frustrated than I'd ever witnessed. He pushed past me saying, "We have to talk," before I could object. I crossed my arms. About what? He got straight to it. "You've got to quit this behavior and resume assisting us." I burst out laughing, not from humor, but sheer disbelief. "Assisting? You mean funding your lifestyle?" I already said I'm through. He scowled deeply. "You've got the cash. Do you realize how tough it's been since you pulled this stunt? The kids are barely getting by. Kelly's holding things together, but we can't manage without you." It was staggering. Are you hearing your own words? You're an adult, Jacob. You've got a spouse and offspring. If money's tight, get out there and make it. Fixing your issues isn't my role. He shot back. You helped every time before. Why act so greedy now? Greedy? I echoed. If we're discussing greed, how about you misleading our parents against me, poisoning them, and kicking me out of Christmas for not spoiling your kids enough? Then showing up demanding more? That's bold, Jacob. I raised my hand to cut him off. This conversation's over. No more money from me, and stay away until you learn to behave responsibly. He stood glaring for a moment, then stormed off. I thought that might buy some peace. He'd complain to parents, but eventually accept my stance. Wrong again. 2 days later, An unknown number called. Normally I'd ignore, but something made me pick up. Hello. A male voice. Is this Michael? Yes. Who is this? Mark Dawson here. I'm an attorney. I represent a client concerned about some family financial issues. Got time to talk? I froze. A lawyer? What kind of financial matters? He sounded overly polite. Can't specify on the phone, but it concerns the funds you've provided to your brother Jacob and his household over time. More precisely, how those funds were handled. Care to meet at my office? I was speechless. Mind racing with bad scenarios. Had Jacob taken loans in my name? Misused my details? Or was this a bluff to force more cash? Who exactly is your client? I asked finally. Brief pause. Can't reveal yet, but rest assured, no suit against you. It's investigative. Despite reservations, I agreed. Curiosity won, and I sensed this went beyond typical Jacob antics. Next day, entering Mark Dawson's office, I was clueless what to expect. But he hit me with a shocker immediately. Sliding a folder over. My client is Kelly. I blinked in astonishment. Kelly? Why does she need legal help? Mark clasped hands, eyeing me closely. She believes Jacob has mishandled the money you've provided over the years. She suspects he's been concealing funds. From her and you. My stomach churned. Concealing funds? How? He opened the folder. Bank records, receipts, apparent message screenshots. She thinks he's diverted your help into a secret account. From evidence, he's likely spent it on betting and personal indulgences, not family needs. I stared at the documents in disbelief. So every time I covered bills or school items, it didn't reach them. Mark nodded gravely. Appears so. Kelly uncovered this lately and consulted me, unsure what else to do. She hesitated involving you initially, but felt you needed to know. It was mind-blowing. Jacob had tricked me all this time, squandering cash I thought helped his household on who knows what. I wasn't sure whether to feel betrayed, furious, or stupid for missing it. Voice tight. Does she have solid evidence? See for yourself, Mark said, pushing it nearer. I reviewed the materials. Withdrawals from Jacob's main account to another in his name, matching my transfer timings for emergencies. Then outflows, fancy restaurants, online betting platforms, several hotel bookings. Incredible, I muttered, shaking my head. Did Kelly know? Only found the hidden account recently, Mark explained. She'd suspected a while but lacked access to his finances. Stumbled on loose statements. That's when she reached me. I leaned back, processing. Does she expect me to act? File charges? He shook head. Not now. Priority is safeguarding her and the kids, but warning you against further manipulation. I gave a bitter chuckle. Too late. He already visited, insisting I resume support. Mark frowned. Matches what Kelly shared. With your aid cut off, Jacob's under strain. Possibly worse trouble than she realizes. My mind spun as I eyed the folder. Part of me wanted direct confrontation, but I knew it'd just satisfy his provocation. Instead, what's Kelly planning? Mark hesitated. Weighing choices. Ensuring safety for her and children, financially, everything. If he worsens, possible separation or other steps. It hit harder than expected. Kelly always seemed soft, loyal, forever supportive of Jacob. If she was ready to exit, things were dire. Mixed emotions. Fury at Jacob, sorrow for Kelly/kids, regret for blindness. I thanked him and left. Most of all, a strange relief washed over. First time in years free of Jacob's weight. Knowing truth, I'd never let him dominate again. I couldn't shake thoughts of the revelations post-lawyer visit. Betting, secret funds, Kelly quietly preparing. I was smack in family chaos like a daytime drama. I kept distance next few days. No calls to parents or Jacob. But silence bothered him. One evening, pre-dinner, his name lit my phone. Considered voicemail, but answered. What now, Jacob? No delay. We gotta talk. Voice tense, near frantic. You spoke to Kelly, right? I raised a brow. Meaning? Stop playing dumb, he snapped. She's odd since Christmas. Now mentioning lawyers' divorce. I know you're influencing her. I laughed outright. You blame me? You're the liar, hider, gambler of funds? If she's done with your nonsense, that's your fault, not mine. Pause. Then, you have no idea. Oh, I do, I said, anger rising. Kelly shared all, hidden account, betting, wasted money while I worked hard aiding you. You're pathetic, Jacob. Cut his yell, listen. I hung up mid-sentence. Hands trembled, but unleashing years-held words felt liberating. You've exploited me long enough. No more aid. No more excuses. If she leaves, you're doing. Drag me in again, and I'll expose your actions to all. Repercussion came fast. Kelly rang next day. Did Jacob contact you? Cautiously. Yeah, I said. He was upset. Anything happen? I challenged him on betting and secret account, she said, pausing. He admitted parts but minimizes. You okay? I asked. I'm okay, she said, though tone suggested otherwise, but tired of shielding him. Kids deserve more. Their troubles were clear, but hearing its signaled end hit deep. Support you fully, whatever path, I told her. Thanks, soft reply. Sorry for all. Treatment at Christmas was wrong. Should have spoken up. We talked longer. Hanging up brought odd closure. Jacob wrecked our bond, but Kelly and kids weren't foes. I wouldn't resent her bravery. Still, sensed Jacob had more chaos brewing. Weeks later, Kelly texted 3 words. Leaving today. She explained. While Jacob away, supposed work trip, likely betting cover, she'd packed, rented truck, relocated to different state with kids, without advance notice, handling legal side first. I phoned immediately. Couldn't remain, she said quietly. No more faking normalcy. Curious about her well-being, I asked details. Hoping for temporary help, she paused. Hate asking. Done, I said. I'll handle. Yes, I assisted her and kids, but first time feeling genuinely right, not exploited. Jacob returned to empty home. Predictably raged, phoned ranting I destroyed his life, swayed Kelly. After hearing him out briefly, maybe if you'd prioritized husband/father role over betting, then good luck anyway. Hung up. Kids settling in new school, Kelly landed steady job, finally regaining control. Word is Jacob still points fingers everywhere except mirror, but truthfully not my concern anymore. So that's the resolution if it qualifies. Thanks for reading. If not subscribed, consider it and enable notifications for more astonishing true life tales around you.